Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to break down a viral video that takes a fictional NYC mayoral inauguration and paints it as a genuinely scary sign for the entire country. Let's get right into it. So the video we're looking at kicks right off with this really famous quote from Ronald Reagan, calling it one of the scariest words in the English language. It uses this idea as a lens to analyze the inauguration of a fictional NYC mayor, Zohran Mamdani, basically framing it as a huge red flag for the nation. So what we're going to do in this explainer is break down the video's main arguments. We'll look at its critique of the ceremony itself, the accusations of hypocrisy it makes, and its predictions for the future. And just to be clear, we are sticking strictly to the content presented in that viral clip. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the ceremony. This is really where the source video begins its critique, by zeroing in on the symbolism of the event and the high-profile praise that the new mayor received. Right away, the video flags the swearing in as a big problem. And you might be asking, why? Well, it's because the mayor takes his oath on a Quran. The narrator claims this is a first for an NYC mayor and frames it as a major point of concern. And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the video's argument. It sets up this idea that the oath to uphold the Constitution is in, and I'm quoting here, massive conflict with the Quran. The question it just leaves hanging there is, can a person really be loyal to both of these things at the same time? All right, so after the oath, the video shifts its focus to the praise the new mayor gets from big names like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And the point it makes is that her speech focuses entirely on the mayor's identity, his religion, his background, his age, and not, according to the video, on his actual qualifications for the job. And yeah, this quote really sums up the video's critique perfectly, doesn't it? The argument it's making is that this laser focus on identity is a key flaw in modern progressive politics, one that, in its view, ends up dividing people by highlighting what makes them different instead of what they might have in common. From there, the video pivots to a pretty classic political line of attack: hypocrisy. And it doesn't just aim this at the mayor, it targets his inner circle and his supporters as well. The video just zooms in on this one very specific detail: the boots worn by the mayor's wife. We're talking $630. This is presented as Exhibit A, the smoking gun in its case for socialist hypocrisy. A pretty stark contrast, it argues, to their political platform. Now, this slide really clarifies the video's point. The narrator argues that it's not really about the money itself. See, when a capitalist figure like Melania Trump shows off her wealth, the video considers it authentic. It's what you'd expect. But when a socialist who preaches about wealth redistribution does it, well, that's when the video labels it as hypocritical. Then the critique broadens. It goes after the mayor's supporters, painting this picture of them as bitter people with, and I quote, useless college degrees. The claim here is that their support for socialism isn't really about principles, but about their own perceived failures in a capitalist system. Okay, so after the personal critiques, the video shifts gears and starts to focus on the mayor's actual governing philosophy. And it does that by dissecting key lines from his inauguration speech. The video singles out this quote as a major tell. The narrator even admits that, hey, on the surface, it sounds kind of nice, but then argues that the reality of what it calls collectivism is anything but warm. So then the video offers up its own definition of collectivism. And it's not some dry academic take. No, it's framed as a system that strips away individual freedom, kills jobs, and ultimately creates one big fat class of poor people. So what's the big takeaway from a line like this, according to the video? Well, it's a promise, a signal of a huge and unapologetic expansion of government power, the exact opposite of a limited government. And here it is, laid out, plain and simple. This slide basically boils down the core conflict that the video is presenting. On one side, you have the mayor's vision of more government intervention, and on the other side, the narrator's preferred vision of less government, with the private sector taking the lead. So after all that, where does the video think this is all headed? Well, it predicts the fallout won't be limited to just New York. It's going to ripple across the entire country. But, and here's a bit of a twist, even with this pretty grim outlook, the video says there are guardrails in place. It points to things like a balanced budget law and a governor who is not a fan of new taxes as checks on the mayor's power, suggesting they'll stop his most extreme policies from ever happening. The video then lays out exactly how it predicts this will all play out. Step 1, the socialist policies get put in place. Step 2, they fail. Step 3, voters get tired of it and demand a return to common sense. And finally, New York becomes a national warning sign. And this right here is the political payoff, according to the video. The mayor's predicted failure will become this powerful talking point for the right wing, a really clear-cut example of what not to do. And that brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. The source video itself is a masterclass in what it describes. It takes a local, even a fictional, political event and skillfully transforms it into a case study for a much larger national argument. And it leaves us asking, how often does this kind of narrative shaping happen all around us?